The social model of health explores the concept that health is socially produced, distributed, and constructed. The prevention of illness revolves around challenging the inequities that contribute to health inequalities. Campbelltown and Leichhardt are two local government areas in Sydney that showcase this concept of inequity contributing to health inequalities. In this presentation, Nino and Carl will explore how sociological factors of education and employment impact the health issues of obesity and lung cancer, and how much impact the social model of health has on individuals and the community.
So, according to the Community Health Profile of Campbelltown, which is the LGA 2016, education and employment are two sociological factors that affect the area. So first off, we're going to start with education. So 22.6% of the population are single parent families, which leads us to interest that maybe kids are dropping out of school to help their families, their mother, and etc. With the data, it shows that 1,041 people did not go to school, which is above the age of 18 plus. So these are kids that aren't in primary school or anything at the moment. Also, there are 57,175 people that did not pass Year 12. That's 1/3 of the population. Also, 18,900 people did not obtain a bachelor's degree, which is also 18 plus.
According to the Australian Bureau of Statistics and the Leichhardt Local Government Area Health Profile 2015, Leichhardt has an overall population of 56,066 people. 12% of this population is single-parent families, which is an extremely low percentage compared to Campbelltown. In Leichhardt, only 13.3% of the population reported having finished Year 12 as their highest form of education, and 47% of people aged 15 years and over have obtained a bachelor degree level and above. This leads us to believe that the students' population in Leichhardt are remaining in school and gaining the benefits that come from higher education.
Now moving on to employment. There's a thing called the Index of Relative Socioeconomic Disadvantage. This is indicated by low income, high unemployment and low levels of education, which are very high within the Campbelltown area. Campbelltown is ranked at the number of 940. The national average is 1,100. And to give you guys a bit of a perspective, the low number means worse. This area is at a disadvantage, which is 5,874 people that are unemployed. That's 8% of the population. And 6,445 people work between 1 to 15 hours per week, 9.5% of the population, which leads us to believe maybe they're on government benefits. Why we ask, maybe a poor upcoming, so that means the non-completion of schooling or being able to be distracted at school easily. This means they're not allowed to understand simple concepts that the education system provides, and or the mandatory levels of education to pursue a proper and stable full-time work environment, or even going to a tertiary education to further benefit themselves, examples such as uni or TAFE if they're accepted.
The Index of Socioeconomic Disadvantage supplies indicators of disadvantage such as low income, high unemployment levels, and low levels of education in a local government area. On the Index of Socioeconomic Disadvantage, Leichhardt is ranked the highest within the inner Western Sydney area, with an index score of 1,079, with the national average being 1,000. This indicates that this area is at less disadvantage than the Campbelltown area, which is at 940. 1,257 of the population are unemployed, which comes to a total of 3.9% of the Leichhardt overall population. This is significantly lower than the national average of 6.9%. 7,857 people worked part-time in Leichhardt, which comes to a total of 25.7% of the population. This compares favourably to the national average of 30.4%. These statistics indicate that the sociological influence of a good education transfers to high employability and stable income later in life.
Our second issue is lung cancer. 17% of the Campbelltown population smokes. This is developed due to excess smoking over time. About 246 people per 100,000 have lung cancer in Campbelltown. That's 8 more than the national average if we want to know. Cancer is a leading killer in Campbelltown. 31.7%, 28% is the national average. And along with the unusual figure, 197 parents per year admit to smoking while pregnant in Campbelltown, which can lead to harmful things such as harming the baby or the parent in future.
Lung cancer is a high priority health issue in Leichhardt, as it is one of the leading types of cancer causing death. There is no cure for this disease, so early intervention and prevention is the only way to combat this particular disease. 116 per 100,000 in Leichhardt were diagnosed with lung cancer between 2004 and 2008, compared to 1,157 per 100,000 in inner Western Sydney and 15,905 per 100,000 in New South Wales. These low numbers are due to high levels of completion of tertiary education, leading to a healthier lifestyle with the deadly effects of bad habits like smoking well known. Only 10.7% of Leichhardt population smokes, compared to 17% in Campbelltown.
Poor health behaviour, smoking, poor meal choices, these both lead to poor health issues. Example, eating, which can lead to high cholesterol or leading to obesity and coronary heart disease, which is Australia's #1 killer. 7% only eat the recommended vegetable serving per day. If we want to know and put that into numbers, 35% of the population is obese. The national average is 18%. There are about 50 hospitalizations, which are deaths per annum in Campbelltown, according to the LGA 2016. There are dramatic concerns due to unemployment, which are above average, and education that are below average. These things can lead to poor health choices, as discussed before. If obesity continues, it can continually lead on to coronary heart disease, as I said, which is Australia's #1 killer.
Obesity is the second priority health issue, as it affects 15.8% of the total Leichhardt population, compared to the national average of 18%. Education and employment both have an extreme importance on providing the knowledge of healthy eating and providing the income to buy these healthy food luxuries. Less than 1 in 10 people consumes the recommended daily vegetable intake, and 50% eat recommended fruit intake. These statistics are worrying, but do not have a serious effect, as only 4.2% have type 2 diabetes. The average weekly income per person is $1,235 compared to national average of $662. The average weekly income per family is $3,324 compared to the national average of $1,734. And finally, the average weekly income per household is $2,443 compared to the national average of $1,438. The socioeconomic factors of employment and average levels of income, alongside with the low levels of obesity and diabetes, provide an insight into the high averages of income each individual, family, and household possesses, as disposable income provide them with the ability to spend on luxury foods and restaurants that provide healthier eating options aside from the fast food chains. The more affluent area of Leichhardt has greater exposure to a healthy lifestyle involving gym memberships and exercise, healthy foods, and education. The evidence has identified that the inequities of health between geographical areas of Sydney directly relate to socioeconomic status. Programs relating to increasing the participation in higher education in Western Sydney are one way to increase the SES of the area. Programs are already in place, including the establishment of Western Sydney University, which has a campus in Campbelltown. Involvement in the exercise programs to decrease obesity rates and programs to help stop smoking are critical in improving the health of Western Sydney population. Government programs are in place involving CrossFit for teens, YMCA programs, and the government has constructed modern sporting fields in the area and relocated major sporting teams such as Western Sydney Giants to inspire the youth of the area and increase their involvement in sport.
To conclude, the social model of health concept shows the area you live in has direct impact on your health, your family's health, and your community's health. Statistics show affluent areas such as Leichhardt have higher rates of education, therefore are less likely to suffer from smoking-related illness. Furthermore, lower socioeconomic areas like Campbelltown have higher rates of unemployment. This impacts households' overall disposable income, which is a known risk factor for obesity. Thanks for listening.